Okay, thank you everyone so much for joining us this afternoon. We apologize technical difficulties, but I think we are good now. So very excited to have Jenna and Jessica here today from HCSC to talk a little bit more about the fellowship program. So with that, I'm going to turn next slide, and I'm happy to do that for you.
Okay, I think first Jessica and I will introduce ourselves. So I am currently a fellow at HCSC. I graduated with my MHA from UIC this past May, um, and I'm currently rotating through the government and individual markets department. Jessica? I can also introduce
Okay,
Jessica.
hold on. It
If
looks like I forgot she came back in. So let me make you a co-host so you can unmute. Apologies. There we go. You should have the ability now.
Sorry, I wasn't sure how to communicate that. I was like, I can't. Hi everyone. My name's Jessica. I am a previous fellow from last year at HCSC, and I did a few rotations throughout the fellowship and ended up in a permanent role in the individual and family markets solutions team. So, staying really closely related to the fellows here as we recruit.
Okay, thank you. So we'll just do a quick presentation on the fellowship, and then at the end we'll have the application link and our emails. And if you have any questions, feel free to raise them then or follow up with us later. Next slide, please. Okay, so a bit about Healthcare Service Corporation. It's the parent company of the Blue Cross Blue Shield plans of Illinois, Montana, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. It's the largest customer-owned health insurer in the nation and was founded in 1936. It serves over 17 million members across those 5 states and employs over 24,000 people across 60 local offices. Next slide. Also, Jessica, if you have anything you want to add ever, just feel free to jump in. So currently we are on our 6th cohort of fellows, each coming from different backgrounds. The fellowship is a way to recruit high potential talent at the master's level, and the leadership who sponsor this fellowship is very invested in this opportunity. And we regularly have one-on-ones with Lauren Macklis, who is the president of Individual and Family Markets, as well as with Taylor Zader, who is the executive director of IFM Strategy and Product. And next year, we'll be recruiting for 4 fellows, and there will be an additional leader, Katie Galley, who is the Executive Director of Medicaid Quality. So any fellows who come on will have the opportunity to rotate through her team as well. Next slide. So this is some feedback from past fellows. We have Isabel Rouse, who is now the Director of Network Innovation and Delivery, and Chris Bryan, who is a principal strategy consultant, soon to be manager in the new year. And you can read for yourselves what they have to say about the fellowship, but they really utilized it as a springboard for their careers here at HCSC. Next slide. So a bit about just the logistics of the fellowship. It's a 12-month rotational program designed to hone your strategic thinking and transformational leadership. You gain exposure to senior leadership, as well as you can influence strategy, and you gain exposure to this very large matrixed organization. Next slide. Here are some examples of projects, but each fellow has different rotations than any fellow before, different combinations based on their interests and skills that they want to develop. So this projects that they will be working on will really reflect their personal experience. And so currently I'm on the government and individual markets rotation. So that takes into account the Medicaid, Medicare, and ACA marketplace. So that has its own unique set of responsibilities and projects that I get to work on. Next slide. This is an example timeline. So there are typically 3 rotations for each fellow. And in the beginning, you're onboarded around July, and you receive industry 101s where they teach you about HCSC and the payer space. Then you begin networking and having coffee chats with other employees and leadership throughout the organization to begin to get to know everyone. And then you get your first rotation usually around the second or third week of onboarding. Throughout the year as well, you'll have a volunteer event, and then in your third rotation, you'll prepare for potential permanent placement with HCSC, where you meet with leadership. They discuss where you've rotated, what your interests are, and then they find a role that is aligned with what you want to do and the needs of the organization. The fellowship is hybrid and based in Chicago, so we do come in 3 days a week, and you do have to live in the Chicagoland area to take part in this fellowship opportunity. Next slide. So this is our current recruitment timeline. We're currently accepting applications and reviewing them. We think we'll begin interviewing probably mid-October. So we recommend getting your application in soon. We'll probably extend offers around January or February, and we hope to have the next cohort start in July. Next slide. So here's the application link. You can scan it if you would like, and some tips on the application are just to apply early, include a cover letter, because that will just make us understand you a little bit better. And then if you have any questions, here are our emails. And if you have any HR logistical questions, I would recommend reaching out to Jillian Tribbett. She's our recruiter for HR, and she can answer any of those more logistics. Thank you.
And then just like another quick thing I wanted to note is that this role,
yes.
although it's a fellowship, we're recruiting for people pursuing any like healthcare related master's degree, or anyone with interest in healthcare that is pursuing a master's and finishing in the winter or spring. And you are treated as a full-time employee in the role, and it's like technically a divisional strategy consultant role. But you have the ability to rotate across teams. So that's like a benefit for it. But it's not like you get any different, like you get all normal employee benefits and everything. But you just have more flexibility for the year.
Thank you, Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
Are they able to unmute and ask questions, or should we use the chat?
I can definitely allow folks to unmute to ask questions at this point. Second. All right. So everyone should have the ability to come off and ask a question to Jenna or Jessica, or if you would like to, feel free to put that in the chat.
Yes, I see one hand up. Mahua?
Hello, thank you for the presentation. I have a question. I wanted to know if, so I'm a MPH student here at Bloomberg School of Public Health, and I want to know if for applying for this fellowship, we need to stay in US for the next year. Like 2024 year, you have to be in US. That is a prerequisite because it's a hybrid fellowship, you said. But how does that work? You need to be in US during that period, or you can be traveling to other countries as well.
Yes, so it is hybrid, so you do have to be in Chicago because we do come in generally Tuesday through Thursday. So unless you make your weekends really efficient, you're going to want to live in Chicago. Yes, Sarah?
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to know if this opportunity is open to international students, in that US work authorization is provided, visa sponsorship is provided.
Our organization doesn't sponsor visas for this role. We're not sure about other roles within it, so I would maybe ask Jillian about that if there are other roles that you could apply for that sponsor.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Julia?
Hi. Hello. My question is, I'm a postdoc with the school. Am I eligible to apply?
Jessica?
I think so. I can double check about postdoc, but you're graduating in the winter or spring, right?
Yes, I mean, my postdoc, it ends in December, January, or
Okay.
January, February.
Okay, I can definitely double check on that for postdoc.
So I have my master's like from another university, but then I have my PhD from in health education, and then I have my postdoctoral in public health with Bloomberg School of Public Health, and this postdoctoral training is finishing up now. So I
Okay.
was wondering if it's just for MPH students or it's for a broader range of students.
Generally, we've had like master's students apply, but I don't know if we've had a postdoc student, so I don't want to say no at all. So I'm gonna double check with that. And obviously, you should still just like submit an application and reach out to one of us if we don't like, just so we know your name and everything and can get back to you on the answer to your question.
Okay, thank you.
There's also a couple of questions in the chat that
Oh.
came through.
Okay. Are recent graduates eligible to apply? No, so you have to apply within December 2023 to May, June 2024. That's the range. Can you speak
Yeah, the
more
range
about
of
how,
graduation.
yeah. Can you speak more about how mentoring works within the program? How are fellows integrated into the team? So mentorship, you meet monthly with the director of IFM. You meet every 6 weeks with the president of IFM, and then you meet also regularly with your department head. So that's really built in mentorship throughout the program. And then if you wish to meet other employees, there are these coffee chats that are built in as well. So you can really form your own unique bond with, if you really click with someone else and you think that they would be a better mentor for you, then you can definitely reach out to them. Anything else, Jessica, in that regard?
Yeah, and I would just say like each year, fellows have stayed at the company generally, at least one fellow. So you have like the previous network of fellows as well. Like I meet with the fellows regularly to just check in on them, see how they're doing in their rotation, try to figure out what they like and don't like. And then even past fellows beyond me will like have coffee chats with the fellows just to see how they're doing. So you have mentorship in that way and with leadership.
Yeah. And then how are fellows integrated? So you get a supervisor who you connect with weekly, and then you're just generally seen as a regular employee within your team. So I feel like the integration is seamless. You're not put as like an other, like as a different category as a fellow. You're just understood that you're a regular employee, part of that team, and that you'll rotate eventually, but they don't treat you differently. Anything you'd like to add there?
No, I think we're good for that. I see another question for, is this a paid position? Yes, this is fully paid position, all benefits, just like a normal full-time employee. And that allows you to have flexibility in kind of staying at the end of the year to figure out where you want to be permanently placed, and based on like years of experience, because our HR is pretty strict about years of experience, you'll either stay in like that consultant level for just a bit longer until you reach those requirements to go into to move up into senior positions, but they want you to stay at the fellowship after, but they also understand if you find some other role. Everyone's just very open to helping you develop in your career. So yeah, paid position.
Looks like
Yes,
we
Sarah?
have another hand.
Yes, thank you. Again, just a follow-up question to my first question. I know you mentioned the program that the company doesn't offer visa sponsorship for this role, but I'm also wondering if you accept OPT for this role, since most international students are authorized to work with OPT for a year at least.
I don't think so. Jenna, do you remember if HR said any of that for OPT specifically?
I don't remember specifically for OPT, so I would recommend reaching out to confirm with Jillian, but I don't think we do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesse, that would be a good point of clarification because, as Sarah mentioned, we have a lot of international students as part of our population, and many of them have at least 1 year OPT, if not 3 years OPT, where they wouldn't need sponsorship for that time. So I don't know if it's possible to try and get that question answered, and then maybe I can follow up with those students that have interest.
Yeah, we can do that.
Definitely.
Any other questions?
I have a question as well. Yeah. So, hi, my name is Irene. I just wanted to find out what kind of skills really are you looking for in fellows, right? So, are you talking maybe the ability to like analytic skills? Are you talking market research type skills? What kind of skills are you looking for in research fellows?
Yeah, I think you were on the right track there with that. We have a highly analytical job in the way that we want to use data to support any strategic recommendations that we present to leadership. So an analytical, critical thinking mindset, an interest in strategy. So being presented with a solution and trying to figure out what your recommendation is for the future. We use a lot of like Excel and PowerPoint to first use our data, but then also present our findings to leadership. So those are like common things that we use. I'm trying to think of what else. We're pretty like, I feel like you look for someone that's kind of detail oriented. We present a lot since this fellowship gets a lot of exposure to leadership. Just like having that presence of like oral presentation skills. Anything else, Jenna? I'm trying to think.
Probably the ability to ask questions because there's a lot of new information. And so knowing that you need to, go find the information and having that kind of proactive mindset.
Yeah, and just being open to learning because people come from different backgrounds and it's completely okay if you don't have a background in the like payer space, just as long as you're willing to, you have an interest in healthcare strategy and want to learn more throughout the year about different lines of business like Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act marketplace, and just being open to that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Okay, well, if we don't have any other questions, I just want to thank Jenna and Jessica for taking the time this afternoon. So I know you guys had this recruitment timeline, so I'll just leave this up for a moment for folks to take a look at in case they need the reminder. And then it sounds like they can follow up with you all, or if they have HR specific questions with Jillian, is that correct?
Yeah, and you can feel free to share that PDF with the attendees if that's helpful as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Well, thank you both for taking the time. Thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon, and we hope you have a great rest of your Monday.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Thank you.